Good morning and welcome to another inspirational story with Dr. Anna. This is the last one in the series, 16 stories from my book, Practical Spirituality 1, Finding Spirit in Everyday Life. And you can find your book and audiobook, and you can find your book or ebook in Amazon, Spanish and English, your audiobooks, also Spanish and English in iSound. The links are down there in the text box. And you also have a playlist as an audio and the playlist in YouTube. So you got plenty of choice. This story is called Talking About Contact. I read somewhere that when you want the universe to bring something to you, you need to focus your energy in a way that you can visualize that which you want with as much detail as possible. Then, in an incredible show of trust and faith, release your wanting and believe that the universe has taken your order and will deliver it when the time is right, not before, nor after. I have actually seen this in practice many times, although I must admit that when the universe delivers, I have normally forgotten what I was asking for, but the universe never ceases to impress me with the accuracy, easiness, and simplicity in its ways to bring to me what I wish for. One of these occasions was a black car. I didn't really say what brand or what year. I just said, focus on a new or newish car. Definitely black. Sporty, 3 doors, possibly. Reliable and with enough power to get myself out of trouble if I needed to overtake or accelerate or in a roundabout. And with power steering and electric windows. That was the order. A second universal principle says that the universe promotes you automatically as soon as you are ready to move on. Normally we despair in the jobs we have or relationships we're stuck with because we can't see what is the lesson still to be learned and we want to run from it, if only we could. Sometimes we force a breakup or quit a job in order to move on to the next thing. However, if the lesson wasn't truly learned, we take it with us to the next relationship or job. Therefore, within a few months of initial bliss, it rears its ugly face again, and we wonder what have we done to deserve this continued repetition of the same pattern. I was at such point when my phone rang one day at work and I was offered a new job as an accounts manager traveling through Europe. I didn't even know this particular agency had my CV. I must have sent it there eons ago, but the universe moves in mysterious ways, and within 3 days, I had accepted my new job and signed the contract. To my surprise, and although my new boss and I hadn't talked about this, on my first day, I had a meeting with him and I was offered a car with a new position. There was just one available, black, 3-door, sporty looking, powerful, newish, electric windows, central locking, power steering car. Bingo! Knowing the universe as I do, I was pleasantly surprised but not completely shocked. I was in the job for about 1.5 years and this car had been truly reliable, smooth to drive. It made me feel secure and safe in it, and every day I thank it for giving me freedom and safety. And I would also send it my love. You know how physical things can be? They can be a little bit sensitive if we don't spare them a thought from time to time. In a parallel spiritual path, I am always juggling both in a conscious and active way, as well as the emotional and physical learning involved in my job. I went through a series of energy shifts and clearings, through huge learning steps, and I didn't mind it because my spiritual growth kept me sane in this physical crazy job. And it was actually what allowed me to survive and to focus on. But as my first paragraph states, I chose to endure whatever this job brought to me because I wanted to learn the presented lesson, and be able to move on in freedom. This particular day, I was meeting my friend and medium to do some channeling, as we normally used to do on Fridays. We were both going through great changes in our lives. Perhaps that day our energies were not settled enough for us to get together, but the fact is that my car broke down. It simply cut itself off and stopped in the middle of the road. Luckily, it was a slip road and not one of the fast dual carriageways which I just happened to leave a second ago. and I managed to call the AA man. The very nice road assistance man arrived and spent an hour looking at the car. To his amazement, everything seemed to work properly, but somehow the car was not going. He took it to bits and put it together again and said that it was the first time he ever saw anything like it. And I said to him that seeing the familiar story with all my life, where the individual parts seemed to work, but the whole didn't seem to be going anywhere. I don't know if he understood the spiritual connotations, but he laughed. The next thing I knew, I was being towed home. I don't know if you can imagine the feeling of being pulled without control. Not something that I like, and I was fighting against it, but my new spirit and way to look at things was telling me that I had to accept this experience and fully feel what it was like to drive a car with no control over it, knowing that it was being pulled safely home and trusting that this was the way things had to be at that time. Isn't it amazing how our things talk to us if we actually listen? The following day was a Saturday, and I called the garage because I wanted to get the car sorted out as soon as possible. I don't know how this happened. I called the car company, and within 30 seconds, the van was already in front of my house, towing the car to the garage. As to this day, I can't really explain how it happened so fast, but all I can say is that the universe seems to be ready at a split second when the time is right. When the car was repaired a few days later, I was told that the coolant temperature sensor had been replaced. Don't ask me what that is, I haven't got a clue. But what I know is that, isn't it funny how all the pieces work separately? It just takes one little missing piece to connect them all together. At that time, I was going through a transformation where I knew almost all my lessons had been learned in my current job, and I was looking for placing my gifts in an environment where I had more freedom and could derive more fulfillment from my new appointment. I was truly grateful to the universe for having brought to me this job from hell. But what I did to prove it, I consider truly miraculous in my book. Not only I didn't leave the job, but I drew out resources I never knew I had inside as a result. And I underwent such incredible growth that I don't even recognize myself today. And the best thing is that I don't think I will ever feel reality at the same level I did at that time. This is not to say that the reality will not be challenging in the future, but that I will never experience it like that. The struggle was horrific, but now I know I am stronger and I have many more resources. During that week, I was talking to a friend of mine and he paid me a compliment. I knew he meant it. In fact, he said it to me before, but I would normally brush compliments away because I thought, maybe that's not true. I felt uncomfortable with compliments, but at this point I caught myself and I said, why am I not allowing these compliments? Where in my body and soul am I not accepting these gifts? In my morning meditation, I was focusing on these questions, and the inspiration that came to me was, no matter how beautiful or gifted you are, if you do not accept your gifts, if you do not wholeheartedly embrace the generosity of the universe towards you, you can never own them and develop them in a successful and effective way. Your fists are closed and your hands are not opened to accept these gifts, and the universe can't force them upon you. It is a matter of free will. And then it hit me. In the acceptance of the present, which I was refusing, in the acceptance of who you are, which I was not believing, in the acceptance of your skills, gifts, soul quality, which I was not completely embracing, lies the acceptance of your gifts, your abundance, your present, your future, and your dreams. And I connected. I realized that the missing coolant temperature sensor in my being was compassion for myself, for my childhood, for my parents, for my boss, for my job, for my partner, for my mother-in-law, for my work colleagues, for my imperfections. I realized that our physical reality is merely a mirror of our beliefs. So I had to change these beliefs in order to change my reality. But the only way I could do this is through compassion. And at that point, I loved myself so much that I decided to completely surrender my wants and trust the universe with a new flood of light, understanding, and insight. And I let it told me with spiritual AA, angels in assistance perhaps. And so what I am working on now is accepting and grounding my gifts so that Mother Earth helps me root them and manifest them in ways that are beneficial for me and the rest of humanity. Oh, and by the way, my car was driving smoother than ever. Thank you for asking. I thought you may want to know. Thank you for listening. See you next time.